Right, welcome back to the channel. As promised today, cylinder head's on the bench. I'm going to rebuild the cylinder head. Obviously I need to, there's a little bit of cleaning to do just in the end where these rubber caps are. I have got replacements for those. Literally everything on the bench I need is here. I've taken all the camshaft caps off, kept them in the proper order. These are all clearly marked, so I can't make a mistake on this one, hopefully. But I'll show you what I've got on the bench. Right, so literally it should be lined up. Exhaust valve, which is this one, inlet valve, which is this one, number 1, 2, 3 and 4. There's all the caps lined up ready for the camshafts. I say these are going to be replaced. I've got new ones. A little bit more cleaning to do just inside some of these where some dust has got in. So I'll clean those out. But everything's still looking okay. Got some new collets, I'm going to replace those. And then literally just take it a cylinder at a time. Hopefully get this all set up. And then it'll be nice to actually get this back on the engine. I've moved the engine to one side just for this week. Covered it up. But these are the jobs for today. As I say, is get this rebuilt, get all the valves back in place. Everything's been cleaned, as you remember from earlier episodes. As I say, I kept everything bagged, cylinder 1 inlet, so I know exactly where everything goes. As I say, all the valves were cleaned. Everything's been cleaned. Obviously the collets are still in there, but they'll be replaced. But as you remember from what they were like in an earlier episode, they were just caked up. So nice to have all them all cleaned, but we'll take them one at a time and work through. Right, so referring back to my diagram, exactly in the order everything goes back together. I've actually laid it out. So I know which way it goes. Again, I'm going to take my time. I don't want to make mistakes. I'm sure I'm bound to. These are brand new. These are out of the full gasket kit, and also new collets, and the shims and bucket. It's all been cleaned. Shims will be replaced. So that's the, as I say, they're all bagged up. So cylinder 1 inlet valve. So cylinder 1, this side. So we're going to attack this one first. Right, I actually found the easiest way to do was put the valve rubber on first, slide that all the way down, make sure it's in position, and then slide the valve up through. It's nicely clamped over. That's the 2 springs. And that's the cap. Right, so next bit to do is the collets. I'm going to leave the shim and the bucket just to purely want to get all these in place. Right, so as you join me in my time, it's about a week, just over a week after I actually started doing the valves back in the cylinder head. Obviously I had to stop because the valve spring compressor I had wasn't, it couldn't do the job. I couldn't get the springs down far enough, so ordered this set off eBay. As I don't, well, I've never done this before, I don't obviously use valve spring compressors hardly at all. I've just picked up a cheap set, unfortunately, yeah, Chinese. That's how it came in a box, no instructions. I have had a look online. I've had a play this morning just to try and work out how this actually goes together. The only way I could actually work out is if I use the big one underneath to rest against the valve, and then I can screw. This is the right size. I've done 2 already. I just wanted to test it out first so I know exactly what I'm dealing with and how to do it, and then that one winds in. If I've got it totally wrong, obviously let me know, but as I say, I've never used this. There's no instructions. I looked online, I couldn't find anything. I haven't seen this style before. Obviously, as I say, it was just a cheap Chinese off eBay. I wasn't expecting masses, but it seems okay. As I say, I've done 2. I'll show you that now. Right, so they're the 2 I've put in. New collets. They've all been cleaned. All the valves have been obviously cleaned. I've just done 2 inlets. I just wanted to make sure that it kind of a practice run, really. I didn't want to film this live. Well, I didn't want to film this and then get it terribly wrong. So I thought I'd just take it aside, do it off camera, and just put 2 in. So I've still got 2 more inlets, and obviously the 4 exhausts to do. So we'll go through that. All these parts have been cleaned. But they actually didn't go in. It was actually pretty good getting them in, using it this way, as I say, this resting against the valve, the actual, like that, and then screwing that top one down. As I say, if I've got it wrong, let me know, because I'll be interested, because obviously if I do this again, I need to know, but obviously I'll research it more. But it doesn't help when there's no instructions. I know men don't read instructions that often, but it is nice to have. So we're going to continue on with the next 2 inlets, and then flip round and do the exhausts. I say apologies for it taking so long, but I preferred to just stop, get the right equipment or get a better version, and then carry on. That's why the schedule kind of deviated, so I got other jobs done that needed to be done. Primarily it was obviously getting the rotor on, getting the clutch basket back on, and now I can move on. Now I've got the tool in, I can move on, get the cylinder head done. So enough chat, let's crack on. Right, so moving on to next cylinder. I actually found it easier to actually pop that on first, then I can turn it over and slide the valve up through the inside. As you can see, that's popped out nicely. So then it's the two springs. And the cap. Then we'll put the compressor on, compress that down, and then put in the new collets. So that's how I've managed to sort of, well, hopefully it's the right way, but it is actually working. It worked fine on the first two. So all I need to do now is just tighten that down. The only tricky bit is trying to get your fingers through. So that's the first one in place. I just need to do exactly the same with the second one. Right, and that's the second one in, and now release the pressure. So one more to go on this side. Right, so into the last one on this side. Again, in goes the cap. Now in with the valve. Outer spring, inner spring, and the cap. So exactly the same again. Put the clamp on, tighten that down and get the collets in. That's the first one in place. And that's the second one. So that's the first four. All the inlets are now in. Obviously these two, as I said, I did as a practice run. I've just literally copied exactly what I showed you to get the next two in. All that's left now is the exhaust ones. Right, so exactly the same. As I say, we've done the inlets. Now going to do the exhaust. I'm probably going to run the first one at normal speed, which will be cylinder 1. So cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4. Run the first one at normal speed, and I'll probably, for the next 3, I'll probably speed it up a bit of music. I don't think everybody wants to see me as this video will go on for ages. But say it has been quite a learning thing. I've never really, as I say, never used this kind of thing. Please correct me if I've done anything wrong. This is a learning experience, and I need to find out as I go experiences, comments, etc., which is really helping me. All the comments I've had have been absolutely fantastic. I do want to cover a couple of comments, but I'll do that at the end. So let's get this first exhaust valve in, and as I say, I'll speed up the video for the last 3. Right, so I've laid all the valves and all the parts in the order that I'm going to put them back in. I found it really useful using these bags, just labelling everything up. Everything goes in its own bag, you know exactly where it came from. In theory you shouldn't lose anything. So obviously again, new collets, new valve rubbers. Obviously that was the state of the ones that came out. The collets possibly would have been okay, but I thought I'd replace them anyway. So literally they're in the right order that corresponds with each of my cylinders. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So as I say, we'll get the first one in, and then for the next 3 I'll probably just speed the video up slightly, put some background music on it. Alright, so using the line from number 1, valve. Just make sure it's still moving properly. In with the double spring and the cap. Alright, it's nice and secure on the back. That's the first one in. There goes the second. Right, 3 to go. Right, as I said, I'm going to speed this up for you viewers, put some background music on. But as I say, I've got the general gist of how everything's going back together. It's all cleaned, and obviously how the valve spring compressor's working. So literally we've got cylinder 2, cylinder 3 and cylinder 4. And literally laid out 2, 3 and 4. So starting with 2, here we go. Right, and that's all of them. Was a bit fiddly at times, especially on these two last ones. But all that's left now is shims and buckets. So let's get them installed. Again, they're in the same order. That's the inlets, that's the exhausts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly the same. So that's all the shims. Now for the buckets. Right, so that's all the buckets in place. Did find the easiest way was just a light coating of oil just round. My fingers are a bit greasy, and they slide in nicely. So that's all the valves, everything back together. And then next episode we'll actually get this head back on the barrels and start rebuilding. Right, so thanks for joining me on that one. I hope that one was helpful. It was a learning experience for me. As I say, everything I'm doing is brand new. I've never done this before. I'm learning as I go. As I say, great comments that I've had so far. Keep the comments coming in the comments box below. One thing I did want to, I touched on it earlier on in the video, was some of the comments I've had. As many of you have noticed, I've now put a disclaimer at the start of the video, just after the intro. A few of you have reacted to that, to, you know, just voice your opinion, which is most appreciated. One was actually like, you know, I'm just a guy in a garage filming what I do. I'm not a qualified mechanic. These are not how-to videos. They are, as I've said many times, and it says at the start of the video, a documentation of my journey through this build. I am no expert. I don't know everything. I'm learning as I go, and people are hopefully learning with me. But unfortunately, it gets to a point where sometimes you have to put up these disclaimers, or you have to keep reiterating the fact that if you wish to follow what I've done, that's on your head. I can't be held responsible for any mistakes that have been made. If I make a mistake, I'll own up to that mistake, but it's all part of my personal learning experience. This is how I'm going about it, how I'm learning from the manuals, the comments, the feedback, and actually doing it. So as I say, I appreciate the comments I've had. It's kind of to cover my own arse, really. I do say it in the videos, but some people only watch segments of videos, or they might not watch all of it. They'll watch the first bit and maybe the middle bit, or they'll come back later and watch the end bit. So sometimes people aren't actually seeing or hearing that message. So as of sort of well, a couple of videos ago, it will be at the start of every video. I have to do it, unless obviously I'm not working on bikes. But that's the way it is. So as I say, cracking on, happy with how this has gone back together. First time I've ever doing it, so hopefully, as I say, I've followed it as best I can. next episode we'll get this head back on these barrels. So as usual, any comments in the comments box below, and thanks for watching. Join me again next time. Cheers. Bye.